starting the recording. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to this checkpoint 2 session on AWS Builder Skill Sprint organized by AWS User Group Madurai. So today's session is on AWS SDKs and with some hands-on. So before getting into that, I'd like to introduce and say what we do in AWS User Group Madurai. So as many of you know, AWS User Group Madurai is based. I mean, like we are like third consecutive winners of the best user group in AWS in APAC region. Also, we do number of new initiatives like Builder Skill Sprint, Creators Club, College Champs, and all. You can visit this website to get more details on all the uh, uh, programs that we conduct, and you can take part in it. So one program that I want to highlight is Creators Club. So here you can submit your work and you can earn points, and you can redeem them for credits or swags. So even in this builder skill sprint, so we are going to conduct a hands-on challenge, which is going to be happening for the next week, like for next 10 days till end of May. So you can take, you can create few applications based on your own creativity using AWS CLI or SDK, like which you have learned from this past two sessions. So, and you can submit it here. So we'll review your project or an app, and we'll avoid points based on that. So you can also check out what content that you can submit and how much value that each content carries. So, and we'll update the leaderboard like monthly once. So even for participation matters, like even we avoid points for participation, so you can get a complete list of what are the ways in which you can earn points here. So you can check here, and at the end of each month, so we'll be giving away some credits for the best performing person who is active in this whole month and who is completing the hands-on challenge as well. So going forward, let's start into AWS SDK. So, what is an SDK? So, SDK stands for Software Development Kit. So, it's a set of tools or a library. So, it comes with like a pre-packaged build APIs and documentation, like to help developers build applications using that. So, SDK, it simplifies the process of interacting with complex APIs, which I mean, say for AWS might be using a different framework, like or a different language which you might not be aware of. So SDKs are built on top of that. So so also they comes with like pre-built function APIs and code samples which you can use in. So next, what are the key features of AWS SDK? So first one is authentication. Like as we say, SDKs they come with a pre-built packages. So authentication is part of that. So SDKs like they seamlessly integrate with AWS IAM. Also, you can use access keys or temporary credentials using STS and all. And other reason to use the AWS SDK is like they provide high-level APIs. Like you don't have to write too much to interact with an AWS service. So everything will be like in one or two API calls. Like you can use SDK and you can interact with the AWS services. Also, they support asynchronous API calls. Like like in programming languages like JavaScript and TypeScript. So they support asynchronous API calls. So they are like non-blocking calls. Like so, this will be like very critical if you are using in a web app or a microservice architecture. So next one is like error handling. So SDKs they come in with a pre-built retry logic and detailed error messages and all. So you can make use of that to get more idea on where your particular code is failing and all. And next one is like modular design. Like this, like all the new SDKs which are coming now are modular, and the developers they just need to only import whatever the components that they are going to use. Like say for example, your application needs only S3, so you can just only import S3 instead of completely importing the whole SDK package. Yeah. So this will help you reduce the size of your own application as well. And next one is like SDKs are supported in most of the programming languages which people commonly use, like Python, JavaScript, Java, Go, .NET, C++, etc. So next one is like we'll see what I mean. What is a main purpose, or like how SDKs actually help in the help the developers to create applications. So first one is like development. Like you can effectively create applications like which needs to be interacted with AWS services like S3, EC2, and DynamoDB. So you just don't have to write the low level code of implementing each things in detail. So rather than doing that, you can just focus on building the application logic. like uh, like you can just worry like what services, like when they should interact with the others and all, instead of worrying like writing the code that which does that part. Also, this helps in reducing the time spent on like setting up few things or debugging like whether my app is like connecting that or not. So this helps in boosting the development time of developers. Next one is deployment. So SDKs, they provide a set of tools that developers like to build and integrate applications quickly. So irrespective of operating systems, you can just directly deploy this SDKs in multiple devices or like across operating systems like in a rapid manner. So the third one is like integration. So as I already said, SDKs, they come in with pre-built modules, packages, and tools for developers, so that they can focus on like building, testing, and deploying the software applications. So this will simplify the developing, testing, and integration with the other systems and services. Like also they'll provide code samples and debugging tools and libraries are available so that you can easily integrate the application using the AWS SDK. The final one is like cost savings. Like since using SDK, it reduces the developer time. Like instead of focusing on too many low-level things, like with the help of an automated feature like automated retry or time spent in like authentication. So this helps us in reducing the time like that's spent on maintaining and troubleshooting the application. So this will like potentially save some of the developers' time, like which will again end up in saving some cost. So like what are some of the uses of an SDK? Next one, like we can use SDKs in like mobile app development, web, cloud, IoT, and game development. There are like various SDKs that are available like for IoT, for game development and all. So I later like give you an proper documentation where you can refer through it and identify all the SDKs based on your use cases. So next one, I just wanted to compare. I mean, like, what is the benefit of using SDK over a direct API? So the first one is authentication. Like, if you are writing a new API from scratch, you have to build everything from scratch, like from authentication to parsing the message and everything. So if you use an SDK, so everything like authentication, parsing, and all those things like comes in as a pre-built package, and you don't have to worry about that and all. Other thing is like the inbuilt features like retrying, error handling, pagination, waiters, and all those things. And also, you don't have to worry about the AWS API changes. Like you don't have, if you're writing an API, then you have to like constantly update your application to use a new API. But if you're using SDK, it will in background it will take care of that. You just have to upgrade your SDK to use it in your application. And another use case is like it's available in many languages like Python, Node.js, Java, Go. So you can just directly use it based on your needs. So next, we are going to see how we can use SDKs in Python. So in Python, the SDK, the library for AWS SDK is called Boto3. So it's an AWS SDK for Python. So this library helps us in integrating, interacting with AWS services programmatically, like with services like S3, EC2, DynamoDB, and Lambda. So it abstracts the complex API like into a more Pythonic interface, which you can use in your like easy to integrate and use it in your day-to-day Pythonic applications. So why do we? Why use Boto3? So it's an official Python SDK for AWS. So also it helps developers in creating automation tasks for AWS services. Like you can manage your complete life cycle of EC2 with help of Boto3. Also, like interacting with your S3 buckets and everything. So it can be used for both high level and low level AWS service operations. So moving forward, like before working with Boto 3, so there are some key components that you should know. The first one is session. A session, it stores a configuration state, like you can say it as like an like it stores your authentication related info and the other things, right? Like the services and clients which you use to interact with AWS services, you can create it from session. Also, one other use case of session is like you can either authenticate it using a profile, or even you can create a session using AWS access keys. Also, you can use like a temporary credentials to create a session, and you can just use it on. Also, if you have a use case like you wanted to work on like in multiple regions, and you can create a session for each regions, and you can call the services like accordingly. So this is a simple code snippet of how we can create a session using Boto 3. So this example is I'm creating a session using a profile name. Also, you can, as I said earlier, you can create it using access key or temporary credentials and all. So next one is client. So client is a low-level interface that you can use to directly interact with the AWS service APIs. Like you can interact with services like S3, SNS, recognition, and all those things. So, like when you need a fine-grained control of the service, you can use client rather going to resource, which I'll cover later. So, this is a simple code snippet where we can see like we are creating a client, S3 client, and with this region. So you can I'm just trying to upload a file to this bucket. So this is as simple as that. Like uploading a file to an S3 bucket in like in 2 lines of code, you can just do that. So that's a real power of using AWS SDKs. So the next one is resource. So it's, I mean, the client is a low level interface, whereas resource is a high level object oriented abstraction for the AWS services. Like you can get like your bucket, and you can do this API calls on your bucket, like uploading or deleting or updating the existing file and all. So this will have more metadata details around the bucket. Like if you need more metadata details for this particular service, you can use the resource and you can use it. So the other key component in AWS SDK is waiters. So this is a feature in Python, like which you can use it, like when, say, for example, if you are using this SDK to create an application which does some task with EC2. So, for example, right, you want to know the status of the. I mean, you want to do something when the EC2 is up and running. So, for example, you can just like normally how we do, we'll have a loop and we'll have a sleep or something, like we'll wait for like I mean, we'll again loop it through till the state of the EC2 changes to running. So instead of doing the for loop and sleep calls, like you can just directly use something called as waiter. So you can just create an EC2 client and you can just add a waiter, and you can just saying like I'll wait till this instance is up and running. So you can, instead of using the traditional for loops and sleep, you can use this new methods which are like completely inbuilt, and they are readily available for you to use with the Python SDK. So this is another example where you want to insert something into a DynamoDB table. Like also you're creating the table in your code. So it takes some time, like a few seconds, for the table status to change from like creating to active. So instead of repeatedly polling for that, you can use something like this waiters to check for the table status. And once it is active, you can just go ahead and put your item in the table. So and another key component of Boto 3 is like paginators. Like you can use paginators when your API call is going to return you a large amount of data. So for example, you have an S3 bucket and there are like so many objects in that bucket, like thousands and thousands of objects. In a single API call, like normally, what it used to do is like it used to give us like say 1,000 objects, the first 1,000 objects, and next it used to give us a token. Like with the help of the token, we have to query it again, and we have to get the next 1,000 objects. But with the help of paginators, you can just it will be like more simple, and you can just make use of this. You can use like when you want to list the objects from S3, or also when you're trying to read something from a table, like which has more entries. So you want to paginate it, so you can make use of this uh, paginator API, which is also like pre-built and readily available for you to use in Python SDK. So before going into the hands-on, is there any questions or something like? Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to post it in the chat. I'll take a look and I'll respond it. So next one is like a simple setup, like how you can actually use AWS SDK in your local machine. So you have to install Boto 3. So this is the library which is going to help you to interact with AWS services. And the other part is like configuring the AWS credentials in your local machine. So if you have attended the previous session where Vasan have showed you like how you can actually configure or AWS CLI and how you can use it to interact with AWS services. So if you have already AWS CLI configured in your local, then you can just directly use it to Boto will directly use it to interact with other AWS services. So if you do AWS configure in your CLI, then it will ask you to enter access key ID secret. So if you enter it, then it will be like configured and it will create a credential file for you. So before going into the hands-on, I just wanted to show like what are the common use cases that people use SDK for. Uh, One is like an S3. So S3 is a very common use case that people use SDK for, like the common operations that we do in a bucket, like listing or putting an object in the bucket or updating it. So this is like a sample snippet of code that I use to put an object, and after that, I'm trying to get all the objects that are present in this S3 bucket. So similarly, Lambda. So Lambda is also a most used service of AWS S3. So if you want to trigger a Lambda from your application, you can just use it like this in a two line of code, just giving the function name. And if you want to send some payload to the function, uh, due to the time constraint, if you want, you can follow. If not, I'll share this repository here and also in the group. So if you can later take a glance of this repository and you can try to create it. Try it on your own. Also, we have an hands-on challenge coming up. So if you have some like a very good creative or innovative ideas that you want to make use of this SDK and you have to build it out, so you can also try it out. And also, we'll be there to help you out. Like if you have any questions or any doubts or you stuck at some point, you can always feel free to post it in the WhatsApp group that we have, like the general group. So one of the other guys, like they'll reply for your query. If you want, you can just follow it now. But for time constraint, I'll be going a little bit fast. Okay. And another service is like recognition. So recognition is an AWS service where you can do image analysis. Like you can send in an image and you can identify labels. Like for example, you can send in an image of a car, and recognition will give you like labels saying this is a red color, red car, and some if it is an Audi or a BMW, like it may give you the labels as well. So you just have to give a location for the image and how many number of labels that I'm expecting from this recognition to detect. Also, you can give a confidence level, like if it is matching this much percentage of like car is like the given image is matching 90 percentage like to car, then give me that label. So you can also specify that percentage as well. And another service is like an SNS. So you guys know SNS, we used to send notifications. So in just a single API call, you can just notifications like to this your topic, and you can just send the notification to all your subscribers. So all these are like common use cases where people use SDKs to automate the real world tasks in CI/CDs, monitoring, also in media processing. So I have a simple example where I have a code which will just simply upload an image from my local to an S3 bucket. So I have a bucket created here, like give me a moment. So I have a sample code. So where I'm trying to upload this image to this bucket. So here you can see I'm just trying to get the S3 client. I'm just trying to open the file in my local, and I'm just trying to upload the file with the bucket name and the file name. So if it is successfully uploaded, then I'll get an upload successful message. If not, I'll get the exception what I'm just trying to see. So I have this code and I have these images here. Like I'm just trying to upload this cat1 image here. Uh, I'll just run this. So currently there is no image. Okay, sorry, delete. So as you can see, currently there is no. Sorry, I'm just repeatedly. Okay, it's fine. I'll try to upload. So currently you can see there is cat1 image in the bucket. So I'll try to upload this cat2 image. So here you can see it said upload successful of this image. So if you come and refresh here, you can see that the cat2 image is successfully uploaded to this S3 bucket. So this is like one simple use case of how you use SDK to interact with AWS services like S3, Lambda, and all. So moving forward, I have a small hands-on, like it's a like some of the one weird use case which I have come up with. So, like say we normally used to maintain like few galleries in our mobile, we can say, right? Like maybe it can be like a name of the trip that which we went on or something. So similarly, I had a use case where I have a gallery where I'll have only the photos of cats. So in that gallery, I'll have only photos like that is containing only cats, like image of the cats. So for example, right, say for example, someone uploads another photo which is not a cat, but like say a dog or a fish or a something else, then it should not be there, right? Like because the main purpose of that gallery is to only have the images of the cat. So when someone uploads an image of a dog or some another animal, like I'll be getting an alert saying like someone inserted a dog picture in your cat's bucket or gallery. So this is a simple use case that I'm just trying to hands on. So this is a simple. This is how the architecture looks like. So for example, the user will be uploading images in this S3 bucket, like which I showed you earlier. So here and whenever and I also I have a lambda function which I have created. So this lambda function will be triggered. So whenever there is an image, I mean, whenever there is an put item, I mean, put item is an API. It's an action in S3. Like whenever we upload any object to S3, it's put. So whenever we are uploading something to S3, so it will trigger this lambda function. Check cat only images. So I'll explain this in some time. So whenever an user uploads an image to this bucket, this lambda function gets triggered. So this lambda function, it what it does is like it gets the details of the image that got uploaded in S3 and it sends the details to recognition. So as I said earlier, so we can use recognition to identify labels from the images. So I use recognition to identify like whether the given image has a cat or not. So if the image has cat, so in the labels like the recognition will return as a like say for example I'm asking it to return as like five labels, so it will return as five labels and cat should be in one among that. So if cat is there, then I won't do anything because it's a valid scenario. Like that gallery is like to meant to store cat images. Like say for example, if the dog is there in one of the labels, then I should not. It's not a valid scenario. So I should trigger an alert for the user saying that someone is trying to upload a dog image into your cat gallery. So recognition will return as a list of labels like what it is identified from the given image that got recently uploaded in S3. So this lambda function will check whether it's a valid scenario or not, like whether cat. any other animals apart from cat is present in the given labels which we got from a recognition. So if it is there, it will send an alert using SNS. So I have configured an email. I have created a subscriber in SNS topic as an email. So whenever a dog image gets uploaded in this bucket, I'll be getting an email saying that a dog image is getting uploaded in this. So with this image name. So this is a simple flow of this use case. So going to the hands-on. So now we are having only cat images, and I can show you my topic. So currently I have subscribed my email for this topic. So whenever an alert comes, it will be forwarding an alert to this particular email, and I don't have any email because we are uploading only the images of cats now. I can show the image as well. Like so, this is an image of a cat, cat one and cat two. So currently these two images are there in the S3 bucket. So which are cat images, which is a valid scenario. So now I'll try to upload the image of this dog. So which is an invalid case. So we should be getting an alert for that one. I'll try to change it to dog one.jpg. Also, I can show you the CloudWatch logs. So now you can see. So with the current, okay, I'll show you. I'll walk you through my Lambda code, what it does. So here you can see I'm using Boto3 to create clients for different AWS services. So this I'm creating an S3 client, recognition client, and SNS client. And this is the SNS topic that I have created for notification. You can see, and I'm only allowing the image only if it has a cat in the inside the label. I'm just and the percentage which I have told, I'm just expecting it to be like 90% accurate, something like that. So whenever there is an image upload there, so we'll get that event here. So from that event, I'm just getting the bucket name, and from there, I'm just trying to get the URL of the image. So I'm passing that info to the recognition. So I'm calling this API detect labels with the information of the bucket and name of the name of the image, and I'm just asking it to return me like 5 maximum labels, and the confidence percentage is 90. So recognition will recognize the image which got recently uploaded and will return as a list of labels. And you can see I'm just trying to get name of the label, and I have allowed label as cat. So I'm just trying to check from the list of return labels whether cat is part of that. So if cat is not part of the label, then it's not an image of a cat. So it's an image of a dog or some other animal. So I'm just creating a message saying it's a non-cat image detected in this bucket, and this is the key. Key is nothing but the path of the image file, and this is the label that what we have got from recognition. And I'm just trying to send a notification using SNS. So this publish API will push this message to SNS topic, which will again send the notification to all the subscribers. So after this, I'm just logging saying alert sent, if not something like that. And if it is not a cat image, I'm just saying cat image detected. I'm just printing the name of the key. So this is a simple Lambda function which uses AWS SDK to interact with various AWS services like recognition, SNS, and S3. So I have this already deployed. So now I'll try. So now as part of the flow, when I upload an image of the dog, this Lambda function should get triggered, and it should send an alert saying non-cat image detected to my email. Okay, cool. So now I have changed it to dog one. I am running that one. So now you can see it successfully uploaded the image dog one. I can see this image here in my bucket. Also in this CloudWatch log, yes. So here you can see now it sent an alert. My Lambda function, it sent an alert saying a non-cat image detected, and these are the labels that we got for the uploaded image now. It's an animal, cane, dog, gold retriever. So cat is not part of this one. So saying it's not an image of a cat. So if I go to my email, yeah, I got a notification saying a non-cat image detected in S3. So these are the labels that it got from. I mean, it can be your creativity, like whatever message that you want to send to your subscriber, you can send it, or it's an alert. So this is a simple hands-on that I wanted to show you for this particular SDK demo. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or post it in the chat. Okay. Next, I'll just give some best practices that when you're using SDK, you can just try to follow this. So always use try error handling, like always try to do an error handling, like use try and accept, and always have a clear logging statement saying where you're at which step your code is getting stuck or like getting error. And next one is security. Always use an always don't use hard coded keys when you're using SDK. Always try to use IAM roles or an least privileged credentials, like using STS and to get temporary credentials to interact. Next one is like try to use pagination and waiters as maximum as possible. Like when you're trying to uh, hit an API call which returns more items, like then try to use paginate. And when you are waiting for some state of an application, then try to use waiters. So this will uh, help in making your code more readable, and it will make your code like easily understandable for others as well. Next one is like called resilience. Like always try to use of the make maximum use of the inbuilt features and functions that are readily available, like this retry logic. Instead of you using some third party library or like thread.sleep to do a retry, you can create a simple retry config and you can just attach it to any of the client which you're creating, like an S3 client or an SNS client. So all the subsequent API calls which you're trying to make with this client, so we'll have this config set. Like so for in this example, you can see like the maximum number of attempts that it will try, it's 10. So maybe even sometimes due to network errors and all, like your API call may fail, and if you have this config readily set up, then it will try to do this maximum number of retries so that your application will not fail. So always try to maximize the use of client. I mean, avoid you creating new clients like for the same. Like I mean, it takes some subsequent amount of time and resources to creating this client objects. So always try to reuse it in your code wherever possible. Also, I have attached few resources where you can refer to, like the Boto 3 documentation and few examples of SDKs, like AWS SDKs, like for different services like S3, SNS, recognition, and all. You can find it here. Also, like the various SDKs that are available, like apart from Python, like for Java, JavaScript. So all those information that you can get in this attached URLs. So feel free to go through it and try to create a new, try to create an SDK with your preferred language and try to give it a try. So this that's it for my session on AWS SDK. So if you have any doubts or queries, you can feel free to post it in the chat. I'll be available and I'll be answering it. Cool. So next, I'll call Vasan to share some insights like on how we can use SDKs with Node.js, and also he'll be walking you with some of the real world demos, like uh, not demos. I mean the architectures of how we can connect multiple services using AWS SDKs and how you can implement real time use cases. So Vasan, over to you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Cool. Let's have a screen and do send a request. Cool. You guys can see the SDK window, or I mean the SDK browser screen.
Yes.
Okay. So I think Poobalan covered most of the part to get it going, or like implementation phase. So I thought of sharing in terms of how to go through the documentation, and how to explore more in terms of the other languages available, which is used in real world scenarios, and also a beginner's mistake which I have done when I was a beginner. So and then some project ideas to kickstart it. So the SDKs itself as it's going to support multiple language. So be flexible. So try to choose which language works for you. Python, JavaScript, Node.js, which is suitable for you. If you find it difficult, let's say if you're finding it difficult in Python, then try to swap for Node.js because at industry level, if you're going for any interviews, what I observed is they haven't stick to single language. They're not demanding for that, even irrespective of DSA rounding or hands-on specific automation. They give you a problem statement and then you get it done. How you do it, it doesn't matter. So if you feel it's hard, Python, then try for Node.js. If it's Node.js, you feel it hard, try for some other language like Go. Because that's one beginner mistake I did because during my phase of career, initially, everyone talked about C, C++, and Java, but I didn't had the exposure of Python until like 3 years of gaining experience. So don't do that newbie mistake. And talking about building the solution or the project ideas, think of a state like where you are going to execute this SDK. Are you going to do it locally? Are you going to do it via Lambda? And so that you can accordingly can choose the trigger and the destination. So when I say trigger and destination, how your SDK is going to be called for. Like for example, let's take an Lambda. So Lambda as a service itself is going to support you the n number of triggers. Like for example, the one which Poobalan showed in his demo, which is of S3. So how can you know like what are the triggers is being supported? So if you go into the Lambda service itself, you could see something called as a trigger, add trigger. So these are the options provided by the AWS to execute your Lambda. So by executing your Lambda, you can run the code in it. By placing the SDK within the Lambda, your SDK is going to get implemented. So as you could see, it can be integrated with API gateway, load balancer, code commit, lattice, and more. Right? So S3 is the one which Poobalan showed you guys. Same way like SNS, SQS. So for your own use case, try to uh, determine your trigger, like how you want to trigger the automation, and then accordingly you can choose. Like either you can choose a use case. For example, I want to execute an SDK whenever I receive an message, or whenever an alert being come to a CloudWatch, or whenever a file is been uploaded on S3. So you determine accordingly and then choose your trigger point. And then the destination is going to be what the SDK is going to call the service for. It can be of uh, you know notifying in Poobalan's case and email. So you can use SNS or uh, SCS as a service, or you might be need to turn off an EC2 instance. So SDK almost supports every service is available. So from Lambda, you can make an SDK coding and then get the service call and to perform the API actions. Talking about resources, somewhat I felt Node.js has very rich document when it comes to SDK over Python. So this is going to be for the Boto 3, right? So it gives you the repository details in terms of like how do you set it up, an example code like calling an S3 bucket and get it started. Whereas when you go with the SDK for JavaScript, like you have service by service based documentations. Like if you go under service, like for CloudFormation, then it talks you through like how can you import the specific model, what SDKs you want to install right from commands in Node.js, and then let's say I want to try this command in CloudFormation. Then if I click that, it's going to take me to the level by level, like what to be imported and uh, the variables being used and how you can get the response from them. So if you're a complete newbie who is not aware about coding, then you can try to get use of the GitHub Copilot or Amazon Q integrated CLI to ask the code to explain you like line by line, so that as a beginner you get confident in terms of what's been given and how the variables is being called, and you take the output of it. Because as a newbie, I was when I started programming, I was completely unaware like what is variable itself. Like I was going line by line and then just trying to mimic it. But then once you understand the concept, it's going to be an easy walk in the park, right? So try to choose one source trigger service and then one destination service which you want to automate, and then come up with a use case. So that should be a quicker shortcut to come up with an project idea. Or if you really have a real-time use case, having something in mind, and then you pick the trigger and the destination part accordingly. Um, so a few best practices to keep in mind: follow the proper coding conventions in terms of the naming variables and stuff. Those are the standards. That's not limited to AWS. If you have time, try to follow test-driven approach. That's something being used in the industry, like where you first write the unit test case and then you start writing the program. So consider doing that as well. And yeah, that's mostly I wanted to share it today, since most of the topics been covered by Poobalan. So any queries, open for that.
Guys, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat or you can ask. Also, the hands-on challenge is going to be like your own creativity. So we just provided you all the Kickstarter for AWS SDKs and like some examples in Python and JavaScript. So now you can come up with your own idea, own creativity, and you can just try to build something up, and you can submit in the Creators Club, which will be evaluated. I mean, which will be running till the end of May, and the results will be announced in the April 1st. So we'll be awarding the one winner with some AWS goodies or some credits. So link to submit the hands-on. Yeah, I'll share. So this is a form to submit Creators Club submissions, and you can go through this website. Like if you need some info. Cool. Any other thing before we wrap up? Then thanks everyone. Thanks Vasan for joining and sharing your insights on SDK and some really good examples. So thank you everyone. So on this SDK part, the hands-on challenge will be running till end of May, and you can come up with your own creativity, and you can just like put it in an GitHub repository, or you can even write a blog, or if you have deployed it somewhere, you can just give us a URL. So whatever the content which you are going to create, so you can submit in Creators Club, so which will earn you points, and it will also try to post it in our socials, and it helps us in getting you recognized as well. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to post it in the AWS user group Madurai general channel, where like people like Vasan, and there are some more SMEs there who can help you out if you get stuck somewhere. So thanks for joining in, and uh, all the best for submitting your hands-on challenge. And thanks, thanks, Vasan. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, just a quick thing. I shared my LinkedIn link in the chat, but then it went to someone else profile. I'll
Yes.
just share it.
Also, you can reach out to any of us over LinkedIn. So if you have any questions and all, so please feel free to connect and share. Thanks. Thanks, Vasan.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.